Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, but has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experiences. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we will play for you. This night's offering is a continuation of our story of The Final Girl. To learn how we generate stories, playing the game of The Final Girl, go check out our The Final Girl Rules Primer. I'm one of our humble players, myself, John Holt.
And me, Ken Breeze.
I'm Lucian Khan. I'm not that humble.
Yeah, welcome back,
Nice.
Lucian.
Thank
back.
you.
All right, so up to this point, we have been playing in the setting of 18th century France. It's a French garden estate during the early stages of the French Revolution. There are killer tree spirits, or plant-animated monsters, that have been awakened by an artifact in their midst.
Violent horticulture.
So far, we've got, of our dozen characters we started with, we're already down to 8. So we have been killing them pretty rapidly here from the setup.
They've been dying.
We can tell you who's dead.
Yeah.
We have Flemme De'Brooks, the half-witted revolutionary. He's dead. We have Julie Moreau, the inquisitive youth. She's dead. We have Rosalie, the haughty milkmaid, dead. And Ovaltine, the flirtatious grandma, also racist, classist, and generally terrible in all ways, is extremely dead.
Our remaining characters are going to try to survive this massacre, but only one will survive. Ken, you are the killer. Why don't you set us up for the next scene?
There is a panic that is starting to spread. Some parts of the garden estate have not been touched by it. We're going to focus on a place where the panic is starting to set in, and that will be the kitchens, under cellars of the estate, where all the food, the bread is made. And so there's this sort of panic starting to spread there as these murders are being talked about. Obviously, rumors fly very thick. People talk a lot. And at this point, many people have died under very mysterious circumstances, including Madame Ovaltine, effectively the matriarch of the house, is dead. So there's this sort of panic about what's going to happen, who's running things, like what's going on.
I would like to be Satine, the saucy maid.
I'm going to go with Morgan, the avant-garde revolutionary.
There are also many other people in the kitchens. It's not just the two of you. There are other maids, cooks, people, servers coming in to get food. So it's not like you guys are here alone, per se.
Quick, Morgan. While everyone is distracted with these strange rumors about the house, we must infiltrate.
Is it time we must infiltrate?
I believe that it is to our best advantage. Do you see? I've brought my dagger with us, and also the bone of the saint.
The bone of the saint? I do not understand.
Well, you see.
And she takes out a dagger. The handle of the dagger is carved in the shape of a strange bone. And you can see there's a little area inside the dagger where a strange green fluid is being kept. The dagger has like an odd glow about it.
What is the purpose of this weapon?
You will see when the time comes, but it is absolutely instrumental in our attempt to overthrow the house and thereby the entire government.
Is this part of the plan?
Yes, but shh, we must be careful.
But
there are ears in the walls.
This death and violence that has been rumored around the estate, is this part of the plan?
All will be revealed to you in time. Come, let us go.
The rest of the scullery, maids, cooks, servants, been talking amongst themselves. There's a panic rising amongst them about the deaths and about the mysterious nature of them. They are feeling like maybe the house has been cursed somehow, that something has befallen them. None of them are really talking about revolution. It seems like only the two of you are sort of off to the side making these plans, but they definitely seem ripe for indoctrination, as the case may be. And as the two of you are sort of turning away from the group, begin your infiltration, that's when one of the half-moon windows that allows light to come in, it is morning time, it's like the next day, pretty early in the morning, the sun has come up. That half-moon window shatters inwards, and it looks like someone's trying to crawl in, like they busted through the window, and now they're trying to crawl in. And the figure itself is incredibly emaciated. It does look like that they're wearing raggedy clothes. And as they flop in and collapse to the ground, everyone looks to realize that this figure has no skin, has no face, because they are literally a scarecrow that has animated.
Little Jacques, is that you? I did not give the signal. Oh, my goodness.
How would you know if little Jacques is one of us revolutionaries?
This man, he is not so small, but he is lacking in many other ways.
Okay, but how would you... So he is one of us?
Morgan, his skin, his face, his eyes, his lips, his teeth, his hands, his fingers, his toes. Something is not right here.
More windows start to
monster.
bust in. More scarecrows start to flop in. They're getting up almost zombie-like as they're sort of starting to just come at this crowd.
These are not children of the revolution.
These are, what are they?
I don't know, but look out.
As scarecrows attack both of you with these raking claws. They seem to be attacking everyone in the kitchen at this point. Claws are coming down towards both of you as separate spindly scarecrows in nasty clothes, ragged, nasty clothes, are trying to tear you asunder.
So Satine is going to whip out her bone-hilted, creepy, glowing green dagger. She's going to push on a hidden button at the bottom of the knob of the bone hilt, and it's going to release this green fluid into the blade, suffusing it with a fully radiant green glow. She is going to say, "In the name of Mary, in the name of the mother," and she is going to hold it to her forehead and then chop it straight down onto the head of the oncoming scarecrow. And the green is going to start to turn all of the dead scarecrow straw into basically a lawn.
Yeah.
And it's like becomes inert and yet living.
Yeah.
This
like
is
inanimate
madness.
figure.
What is this? In this age of science and reason, what toys? What is this madness?
If
What
you
the
cannot-
world has gone mad.
If you cannot believe in the Mother Mary, we will never be able to overcome these pig dogs of the aristocracy.
Other cooks are being
I
torn
only believe in
asunder.
Mother
They're
Liberty.
screaming, the clattering of flatware and pots and pans as things are being turned over. People are screaming, going nuts. None of them are able to make them inert with sort of a magical dagger, as the case may be, or holy dagger. But as they are fighting back the humans, these scarecrows are exploding in this pollen, this white pollen that seems to be just suffusing and covering the entire kitchen at this point as it attacks both of you. Again, everyone.
Satine grabs a frying pan from a hook on the wall. She grabs it with both hands and she says,
In the name of Saint Lucy, whose eyes were boiled and placed on a platter, I shall make of you a dish worthy of not only kings, but the more noble peasants.
and she whirls around, scooping up all of the pollen into this pan, which she then just slams down on the ground, covering it.
Totally covering the pollen. Other people are inhaling it and starting to choke and fall to the ground. Those who aren't able to protect themselves. But obviously, Satine and Morgan are protected.
You're truly a daughter of the fighting spirit.
It is only through my belief in the saints that I am able to withstand such an attack.
Unfortunately, in the melee, the large cook fire has been disturbed as all of these burning logs and coals are being spread all about the room. A fire springs up that starts to smoke and burn. You guys are sort of in a corner. It's more difficult for you to find your way out. I'm going to, again, this is going to be for both of you. The two of you, though you've been swirling around, able to protect yourself from the pollen, been fighting off these scarecrows. As flames start to lick up around you, you realize that this is exactly where the kerosene is kept, where all of the liquor is kept, as these explosions just start to rip through the kitchen cellar and you are immolated.
Viva la revolution!
Brutal.
For king and country. He was a spy.
Oh, Satine.
He was a spy?
But the holy dagger continues on. It's in the cellar.
Meanwhile, back out in the paths of the park, sort of farther away, in the tropical greenhouse, some dilettantes of the occult are beginning a seance. It is now afternoon. They have chosen the tropical gardens because, like the realms beyond, they are exotic. This is a time of reveling in the exoticism of these strange, mysterious plants, communing with nature in order to seek wisdom and second sight into the realm of the divine. There is a round table. Several aristocratic personages are assembled. They are all wearing their white afternoon garb. They have joined hands and are beginning a seance.
I'm going to be Madame Coraline, the true believing astrologer.
And I will be Fromage, the hyperactive executioner.
Thank God.
Come, let us join hands around the table and commune with the spirits and quiet this place. We will use this nexus of peace to bring Jupiter and Venus back into proper alignment, and with the strength of our stars combined, quell the darkness that has come upon this place.
When I purchased my axe when I was in Egypt, they told me that this metal that is made out of came from a star. I am clearing my mind, but I must concentrate on my working tool.
Put away things of this world. Put your face out into the stars.
Yes, I feel it.
Feel the pull of the planets on your body as they rotate around this orb.
Tell me, will I travel across the sea with Boothe Van Smeen?
You will face darkness, as we all will soon face darkness.
Oh, the darkness of
Between the
chaos?
stars, the darkness of ether, of emptiness, between the spaces of the planets, the celestial spheres in the ether in which they float. There's so much.
Tell me, what do you see? So much what? Darkness? What is this darkness?
It is beyond comprehension.
Can it be executed?
That which is dead cannot die.
Yes.
All around you, there are these beautiful orchids, these birds of paradise, all of these mysterious, exotic, tropical plants. And none of these plants are angry or violent, nor do they attack you. Instead, the entire ground, which is covered in ordinary French local grass, begins to sink. And you feel very gradually the earth beneath you moving slowly downward.
Something is happening. I feel as if I am floating in space. The ether has taken me.
No, I feel us going further away from the stars. Something is not right.
And somehow the tiny particles of blades of grass inside the soil begin to reach out and slowly slither themselves around your feet. And the earth begins to sink, and you begin to be swallowed into the ground.
So this is against both of us, I think.
This is against both of you.
All right. I say, quickly, get up on the table. Quickly. Madame Coraline. This is not what I intended.
I tear myself free and leap upon the table, and we hold one another.
I fumble with my axe, my Egyptian axe. Maybe it's more like a khopesh. I think I have more like a khopesh, actually, not an axe per se, but it's the Egyptian axe, the khopesh.
The table, which is made of balsam wood, is angered by this affront. You are now
Angry tables
on top of the table, which is made of tree wood. It's a round table. The legs of the table start to jut outward, pivoting outward. So the table sort of flattens itself. The legs crawl around to the perimeter of the table and then start beating you.
Yeah. And all the other aristocrats are now like hip deep, waist deep, chest deep in the ground.
Yep,
They're
they
just being
are.
sucked
They
down,
are all
screaming.
getting sucked into the ground, screaming. Tarot cards are flying everywhere. Crystals are flying everywhere. Terrible aromatics are being flung left and right. It's total chaos. Mind you, this lovely tropical greenhouse, completely undisturbed. None of the plants care. Not at all animate. Everything's fine in the greenhouse. You're getting beaten up by a table.
Both of us or one of us?
Both of you. You're like, you jumped on the table. You're in the middle of the table. The table legs are going crack, 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 crack.
Madame takes the doily from the table and whips it at a table leg, entangling it with another.
Nice.
And grabbing onto the arm of Fromage, they leap into a flower bed away from the grass.
I've always had good luck with lilies.
At this point, all of the tropical plants that have been witnessing this start to braid their roots together and form a giant underground network. They stay externally entirely in place, look like totally pleasant, lovely plants, not doing anything on the outside. But under the ground, this vast network of interconnected roots suddenly erupts upward through the surface of the soil, splitting the table in half and just thumping back and forth, trying to smash you to death with tangled roots.
Is it coming after one or both of us?
Specifically targeting Fromage because he's the one who leaped into the lilies.
Yep. Fromage hefts his axe, trying to fend off these roots, but is unable to.
So what happens to him?
Poor Fromage. He really was a lover, not a fighter.
He really is. Booth! He's yelling, Booth!
Fromage gets just blunt force trauma bashed in the head with the combined roots of all of these exotic plants, and his head is bashed in.
Yeah, pulped.
Yeah, just like thunk, and just drops thud.
Yeah, and Coraline grabs the axe from the ground and hurls it through the window and leaps out onto the grounds and rushes out and grabs the axe again as she continues off across the lawn. This is in the hedge maze.
Yes.
That has been growing and enveloping more and more of the grounds. And there are a number of people wandering about in this hedge maze trying to find their way towards some safety, to survive the maze itself and all the pitfalls within it. Dusk is coming, and with it, blackness and lack of vision.
So we're attempting to escape the ever-growing labyrinth. Got it. All right.
That's also starting to close up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I will play as Lil Jacques.
And I will be Elaine, the constipated general.
We are screwing.
We are screwing.
Love
Okay.
it. So we're together.
We are together in...
We're trying to escape. Have you seen Satine? I lost sight of her. We had talked about infiltrating, but then these creatures attacked us in the kitchen. I barely escaped with my life. I do not know what happened to her.
Oh, my goodness. Have I told you what happened in the bedroom? I saw...
I know what happens in the bedroom.
Oh, no, that's not what I mean. I saw an unspeakable horror. This vine carrying the body, the dead body. The dead body of that beautiful young woman who is having her party. And, oh, my goodness, the grandmother, the head of the house, everything is falling apart.
Now is the time. In this chaos, we should collect as much money as we can to finance the revolution. We will make sure that this land becomes ours. We can see that this place becomes a bastion of the revolutionaries.
But, my darling, do you not think that perhaps nature herself is taking revenge upon us for our hubris?
If anything, Mother Nature has decided to join our cause and attack these swine.
Yes, you must be right. Oh, my stomach. Oh, yes, you must be right. Oh, my love, embrace me before we plunge forth into the household and seize the riches. Embrace me, my love.
Kiss me, you know how gold turns me on.
Oh, yes.
And they smooch heavily.
Oh yeah, there's make
Yeah, we
out
fade
city.
we fade to black, and it's actually like a moment of quiet and of serenity. You awaken on the lawn in one another's arms, and there's the sound of water in your ears.
Oh, the duck pond, maybe. I start pulling my clothes back on.
I can't
Straightening my clothes.
I can't find my clothes.
You cheeky sod. What have you done with my clothes?
I told you I would destroy them so you would never wear them again, so I would always see you.
But I have a problem. You see, we cannot infiltrate the household when I am naked like this.
Oh, stop joking. I'm sure they're around here somewhere.
Wait, you mean you didn't steal them?
What? Why would I steal your clothes, my sweet?
And you notice that you can see pretty clearly, and even though
Elaine,
it's dark,
there's your saber. Their clothes must be close by.
there's a soft light, a glow that seems to permeate. It's coming from around the bend further up, but for some reason, even at night, you can see from this glow.
Elaine, you may wish to present your saber.
I don't think I can present my saber right now. I'm a little bit afraid of this light that we see in the distance.
How can you be afraid? It is probably a lantern. Hello, we are here.
Don't scream at it. I've seen horrors this day.
And he starts to tremble.
I guess little Jacques is going to take out his flintlock pistol.
Yes, please defend me. I know you are a very small man, but you've always been a big man to me.
Yeah, that's when the hedge closes in on you both, and pushes you. You're almost drowning in a sea of ivy and vines, and you're scratched.
Ah!
And you come out on the other end.
Run!
A moment of quiet in the midst
Run, Elaine!
of a fountain that's bubbling quietly and with a glow inside of it. But it seems like the walls have shifted, and there's only this fountain and in this square of hedges.
Here, my love, take my shirt. At the very least, you cover yourself.
Elaine stepped through the armholes of the shirt and wears it like pants.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Yeah. Lojac says, "This place is cursed.
This entire estate is cursed. I don't know. I believe we've upset the natural order of the world. Perhaps kings really must remain kings, otherwise nature herself begins to attack us."
I slap you. Do not say such things.
Oh, it riles me when you slap me so.
Slap you again. Do not.
You fool!
The people must overcome. We are the people.
Yeah, you get into a shoving match a little bit too.
Yeah.
And one of you falls backwards into the fountain.
It's me.
Yes. Elaine falls backwards into the fountain, and you thinking that this should be a simple matter. You actually kind of could sit up, if you could sit up, if there weren't vines from the lily pads wrapping around and holding you underneath the water. All right.
Elaine!
So you are being drowned.
I am splashing about madly. In doing so, I managed to grab hold of the head of a tiny sculpture of a little, peeing angel. I grab onto it really hard, and it snaps at the neck. And I have this, porcelain angel head in my hand, and I use it to start bashing at the lily pads, and they start to retreat.
Yeah, and you just pulp them and pull yourself free.
Yeah.
Lojac definitely is trying to help Elaine out of the fountain. We must find a way out of here. Where is your saber? Perhaps we can cut the way through.
My saber! Where have I dropped it? What has happened to my saber? What has happened to my clothes? What has happened to my world?
Yeah, and that's when there's a crack, and the fountain shifts, and almost a sinkhole forms. Elaine, it's in the part of the fountain, Elaine, where you are not standing. So you're watching this other half of the fountain sink underground.
Zitaloa!
Threatens to trap your lover.
I am going to leap to his aid.
Ah, Elaine, take my hand!
Yes, and you watch as the fountain gets stuck underground. You see skulls and stuff it seems that the catacombs
The dead are rising, my love! Ah!
that have writhed with vines, with that stretch through the skulls and the grounds. Now the hedge maze is combined with these catacombs to create a more dimensional network of tunnels.
Elaine grasps Jacques by the wrist very hard and says, "My love, you must sing with me and take heart. Do you hear the people sing the song of angry men?" And he drags you singing together, weeping.
We're singing, weeping.
In revolutionary fervor.
It's harder and harder to drag yourselves through the mud, and you find the writhing, twisting of the vines have churned up the ground, and you reach for them as you are pulled into this quicksand like mud. You reach for vines like you would to try and pull yourself free, and you find them just continuing to grow as long as they need to grow.
Yeah, I can see the house. We're almost there. Struggle mightily,
As
my
you,
love.
You are pushed deeper and deeper. You continue to sink deeper into the mud. It's both of you are beneath the soil.
Little Jacques is like a barrel-chested, like he is
Very small man.
He's a small man, but he is broad and brawny, hairy-chested, hairy arms, tattoos on some of his arms from his time being a sailor. As he just sort of like is ripping these vines apart and dragging Elaine behind him as he's just tromping through the mud towards the house. It's only maybe 200 yards away.
Yeah, well, you get out, you clear the hedge. You actually get out of the maze, and you stand there on the lawn, and you hear from the distance, as you kind of like Elaine lays gasping on the ground beside you, you hear from the trees this whistling crack, and you look up. Somehow a tree, almost as if from a trebuchet or some sort of, as like a missile weapon, has been flung
Like
directly
an entire
at little
tree.
Jacques. Yeah, and it just comes and is flying at you.
Suddenly, a glint inside the pocket of my dear love reveals he has had my saber the whole time.
Yes, of course.
In this moment, I realize all along he has betrayed me, and all along he was leading me to a certain death.
That's true.
And yet, I have a moment of believing in the higher cause, in believing that really there must be a revolution of the peasants. I grab the saber from your pocket, knowing that we will both be crushed by this projectile tree. I hoist the saber into the air towards the tree trunk, hoping that it somehow will split, and I sing...
The tree, which was specifically like flying at little Jacques, as you kind of sing and yell and prepare to make your last stand, it flies like just a missile flung from some sort of siege weapon right past you, like scratching you, hitting you with branches, and piercing little Jacques, carrying him away, and just sort of embeds itself, skidding into the lawn. Bits of little Jacques
Saints preserve
litter the lawn for yards and yards down the pitch.
Oh, little Jacques. This is like not the final stand, as it were, but like everyone's aware that shit has gone totally sideways. That either this place is cursed or devil worshippers or something is terribly wrong here. And so this group is in the parlor of the house, where originally Madame Coraline met with Ovaltine and Monsieur Fleur, and there is a very heated discussion going on about what to do next. There is this understanding that the core epicenter of this disturbance is coming from the gardens and it's coming from the hedge maze. Other than that, there is not much understanding of what's going on.
I would like to play Boothe Van Smeen.
And I think Monsieur Fleur is going to be in here.
Perfect.
Are we the only ones left alive, Monsieur Fleur?
Of course, I was able to make accommodations for the family. I mean, those who were able to survive.
Is my love still out there? Is he? Oh,
What are you talking about? You're allowed. This is no time to think about with your. This is a time to think with the proper head, sir.
Oh, but my dear old chap Fromage, he is such a dear man to me. I do not know if I can go on. What is the point? What is the point of games and trivialities? What is the point? Why shall I continue to play croquet in the garden if I do not have my dear love beside me?
Remember yourself, sir, as Fleur smacks him. You are a gentleman. Do not think like a savage, like a commoner.
Oh,
Remember your place and your station, sir.
aye, the way you slap me like that. You have such manly vigor.
These are games you are playing. This is no time. I have lost friends.
Boothe Van Smeen wanders over to the side table to pour himself a glass of port from the extra decanter that was not destroyed in the melee. Just picks it up and swigs basically the entire bottle and smashes it on the ground.
Floor again smacks you across the face and says, "Sir, have you lost all sense of decorum? Drink from a glass. You are a gentleman."
Why do you care so much about my station? You're a butler.
Because it is one thing that we still have. It is one thing that still organizes and makes sense in this universe. When the very ground itself is cutting us apart, we must take the God-given structure of men of substance and those who commit their lives to maintaining that substance and those who simply toil to better the lives of those above them.
As Monsieur Fleur is in this impassioned speech about the importance of class hierarchy, Boothe Van Smeen grabs him by the shoulders and plants a kiss directly on his mouth.
And that's when the first crash is heard, as the entire house shakes. It's only a split second before the next crash hits, and the next, and everything's shaking. You feel like the whole entire structure of the house estate is starting to go off kilter and sink. And that's when you realize that trees are hitting the house, that this trebuchet-like attack of these trees is starting to collide with different parts of the mansion. And the mansion is starting to sink into the ground at the same time as well. One of the trees smashes into the parlor through the window, and it's going to kill both of you.
Monsieur Fleur, this is our last chance for a moment of ecstasy.
The tree smashes into the room, trying to destroy you both.
Floor leaps and grabs at a candlestick and at a vase before they smash to the ground.
That's all he
Quickly,
does.
grab at that painting. It is priceless.
Boothe Van Smeen grabs the painting off the wall. Tell me, projectiles in motion, what is where?
It's almost as if the tree is almost the width of the room. It's a very large tree, so it's coming through the window and through the wall. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out.
So we both me jumping to one side to grab things, you jumping to the other.
Right.
The tree goes right between us.
Yeah,
Yes.
Boothe Van Smeen grabs this painting off the wall and uses it as a side shield.
Yeah. So the branches and the tree sort of ricochet or
Yeah,
bounce
so
off
they
of it
won't
to some
scrape him or
Exactly.
impale him or whatever.
It does shred the painting.
It shreds the painting. The painting is this painting which previously
It's a Dutch masterpiece.
Ovaltine
Dutch
had tried to hide behind of Ovaltine's great grandfather.
Mhm.
Now Boothe Van Smeen is using as a shield to not get flanked by this projectile tree.
Exactly. The tree sort of smashes past you and sort of leaves this wake of destruction. It just delves deeper into the house, busting out another wall behind you. But the floor is still pretty solid as you guys are sort of gaining your balance. But that's when sort of the sinking really goes into full effect and the floor splits into two. One of you goes up, one of you goes down, and it's just you're sort of not totally separated, but there's obviously a distance between the two of you.
Who's
The person that's going down is going to be Monsieur Fleur, who is about to be subsumed.
Gingerly, Monsieur Fleur places the vase on a pedestal that slides past him, and from another thing that slides past the other direction, grabs an umbrella
Yes.
and uses it to catch on a branch and holds himself up, hanging.
Exactly. He's hanging as the floor collapses underneath him. It's like that side of the house is sort of collapsing in on itself, and this sort of yawning abyss is starting to show up underneath you, produce itself. But I think the side of the house that has been staying sort of more solid begins to almost just fall over as it's it's starting to crash down. As it's smashing down, the roof of this parlor collapses on you, Booth.
I do a roll into a flip out the window,
Mm-hmm.
land with the grace of a cat in like a sprinting position, and just start running.
Nice. For Monsieur Fleur, who has been hanging by a umbrella, the house is basically collapsing on top of him and will crush him in between the two halves.
But he knows this house so well. As it comes crashing in, he switches. He actually steps right in through a door,
Yep.
down into what would normally be the servants' stairs, but leads him into the foyer. And as the door crashes right around him, like Buster Keaton style, and he
Nice.
stands there in the ruins of the house, holding the umbrella, tears streaming down both sides of his face.
The tears blur his vision just a bit, but not enough to block out all the writhing vines that are bursting out of the ground, trying to wrap around Booth and strangle him.
I'm right outside the house in those vines. I'm choking hysterically. As I take my final breath, I look out across the fields, across the beautiful meadows and lakes and ponds, and I think to myself, oh, my dear Fromage, we never did play that game of croquet. And then I die.
How does he die?
Yeah, but the way that he dies is that
That's the important part.
he's sort of in this sort of reverie where he's trying to talk about his love for Fromage, but it's these vines are just wrapping around his neck and around his limbs. He's sort of being pulled down into the ground, almost spread-eagled, as the vines are wrapping around his neck and just exactly choking him off as he asphyxiates.
The house is basically collapsed.
The labyrinth has been spreading, and I get the sense that it's
Wow.
sort of like overtaken the gazebo and the fountain and the duck pond, and it's just spreading.
I would like to go to the stables. Those who have survived up until this point are attempting to get horses to get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So the stables are a wooden structure surrounded by low hedges. There are about 16 fine horses
Nice.
kept in these stables. There is nobody currently tending the stables, as it is by this point once again nighttime. Everything's in viney destruction. Those who are still alive making for those horses trying to get out of Dodge.
General, the spirits tell me that there are horses here that will bear us to safety. I will look into my crystal ball and we will find the finest of steeds.
I don't think we have time for this. We must ride.
You cannot choose hastily, for this choice that you make, your life depends on it.
I have seen too much death today. I've seen too much death in my time. We must ride.
Death.
Quickly, grab a horse. Woman, unlike my bowels, we must move.
You are too hasty. That is exactly why we are in the situation we are in. No one has taken time to understand the entity.
If anyone understands being stuck, it is me. Come, we must go.
But think of it, if we escape, what then? Then this horror spreads throughout the countryside. We have a chance to stop this, General. We must take it.
Yeah, we cut away from her like close-up monologue, and he's on a horse. Madame, I will see you in the next life, perhaps. Good luck.
You coward! You call yourself a general! You can't say you're amongst the people, I know it, but you care not for the people.
So
You know nothing of my love for the people.
the feed bag
Mmm.
that is currently on the horse upon which Elaine is sitting
Uh-huh.
is full of a mixture of oats and millet, which are now going to start flinging themselves at his head like tiny darts.
Ooh.
All right.
All right.
So, missiles.
Sharp, very sharp oats.
Razor sharp
Very-
oats!
Razor sharp oats.
Elaine sneers at Madame Coraline and says, "You offend me so," as he leaps off the horse.
Oh, shit.
Barely realizing the danger he was in as the millet shreds shoots into and shreds one of the support beams and sends part of the roof crashing down, crushing half of the horses, including the one Elaine was just on.
You fool!
What is... Good grace, Madame, perhaps you were correct.
I am never incorrect.
I was hasty.
I am Madame Coraline. The strength of the stars runs through me.
So now Madame Coraline, who always carries with her a small satchel of herbs for mystical purposes, at this moment happens to be carrying catnip. What happens now, cats from all over the garden area are being summoned like a beacon to this pouch and come meowing into the barn, feral and nasty, and start swarming the madame with claws and teeth.
She holds forth her crystal ball, and she begins speaking arcane words of power. And the crystal ball begins to glow, and all of the cats are frozen in place. As she looks at Elaine and says, "You do not understand the power that I have."
Madame, you are a witch. This is dark magic.
No darker than the magic that flows through this land. Even less dark, I would say.
It is true.
Significantly less dark.
This is madness. We must get away from here, magic or not.
There's no escaping this, just as there's no escaping the coming revolution. We deal with it now or we die.
We must fight for the revolution, but that means we must fight to survive now. Come, madame, let us get away on this steed. And he pulls forth a strong steed covered in the blood of one of its fellow steeds and hoists her up unceremoniously onto its rump.
You brute!
And vaults up himself. We must away, madame. I am so sorry to be so glad-handing and rough with you.
In another day we would be lovers.
I think not.
As they sort of trot out of the barn, the hedges that were surrounding this stable have joined together with the labyrinth.
Oh, shit.
Which is now a fully extensive maze that has taken over basically the entire property. They are trotting back into the labyrinth. And as soon as they trot out of the stable, the hedge closes behind them, and they are enclosed within the labyrinth. And they see before them, they're not sure how it got there, but that horrific stone obelisk from some nation far away, perhaps Egypt, is pulsating, glowing, and emanating forth a feeling of inevitable destruction. They cannot stop themselves from riding toward it, from riding into its murky, caliginous, subfusk, and generally unpleasant hued, murky, ugly, terrible stone facade, which opens up into a pool of inky blackness that they are drawn into and are in danger of drowning in.
Turn away, General! Turn away!
Is this against both of us?
Yes, these are both on that horse.
Turn away, General! Turn away! Close your eyes!
Madame, please, lend me all your strength. That is the only way we can get
By
away.
the power of the Ancient Ones, I cleanse us!
I will guide us free of this maze. Come. And he turns the horse away from the
Quick,
gaping maw.
use your saber!
And I cut my way through a hedge as we leap over one wall and continue.
We must find the candlemaker's shack! The only way to defeat this is to burn it all!
Let us make haste. And I continue riding at full speed, leaping over bits of hedge as they come at us.
As you leap over several successive hedge walls, you go leap, 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 splash into the duck pond.
Ah!
And you are sinking on a horse into a pond that is being progressively filled with inky black water, black like the obelisk, and is drawing you downwards.
Deja vu, madame. Quickly. I've been here before, I think.
Leap from the horse!
No, up is no way out. We must go through the catacombs. We must go deeper in.
Oh.
And he cuts his way down through the mall of vines, and with a splash and a whoosh, they find themselves deep in the catacombs, surrounded by skulls and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As they fall into the catacombs, Elaine and Coraline hear a faint moaning and see a strange glow around a corridor, and they hear blood of the saints, the blood of the saints, the blood of the saints.
Let us not go that way.
I fear we must.
From that direction, shambles toward them a mossy, algae-covered skeleton wearing the clothing of an abbess, clenching its jaw, clack, 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 and reciting the Hail Mary as it begins to swing toward you with its bony, mossy hands, and the moss, as it flicks off onto your skin, singes and burns.
Again, my crystal ball, Madame Coraline's crystal ball, is evoked as she speaks arcane words of power, and a flame bursts from it, striking the mossy, algae-covered skeleton and igniting it.
If you could do that before, why did you not do it? Why do we need to go to the candle maker?
Receiving no answer, Elaine is...
Shut up, I'm concentrating!
Receiving no answer, Elaine is suddenly faced with a mossy, flaming skeleton in the clothes of an abbess chanting the Hail Mary. It now just flings itself at Elaine to try to catch him on fire.
Elaine says, "This is totally mad. This is an age of reason. We are supposed to. The revolution was to bring all men into the light. This is nothing but the darkness." And
there is no reason here.
He rushes. He just turns tail and runs, leaving
Coward!
like just deeper and deeper into the catacombs.
You are a coward!
Coraline is now in the presence of a flaming skeleton.
Yeah.
Who inches closer and closer to her and whispers in her ear, "My apprentice, you have done well in this life, but now it is time to join me."
And with that, Madame Coraline falls to her knees, genuflect, as she exposes her neck.
And the skeleton embraces her in flame, slicing her neck with the sharp edge of a bone as it kisses her in a passionate embrace of death.
This will be the final scene before we do the final confrontation.
Got it.
And each of us will tell a final confrontation beneath the home. The true household mausoleums are connected to these catacombs and connected through passageways to the home. So it's not directly beneath the home, but something that, say, a servant would know who knew the house, how to get to them, and the catacombs would eventually lead to. So these are the sarcophagus where are interred the lords and ladies of the estate. This is a stony, quiet place that has not seen much disturbance.
Elaine has been running in a panic since seeing Madame Coraline's death. Elaine's seen a lot of death over the past few days. And so he sort of collapses to his knees in this quiet place, catching his breath, looking around wildly. It's pretty dark here, I would assume, and doesn't really have much light. Who is there? I hear you.
Oh,
Show yourself!
oh, my lord! Oh, thank God you've survived. It is I, Monsieur Fleur, the butler.
Monsieur Fleur? Oh, what? Finally, a man of reason.
Oh, my lord, let me make you comfortable. And, Monsieur Fleur...
Do you have a laxative?
Of course, I've always had a laxative handy.
And he dusts off a little stone slab for Elaine to sit on with his hand. He produces a lovely green tincture.
What are you doing down here? This is dangerous here. We must escape.
No, we must certainly wait here until all of this blows over. This is a very safe place. It's got stone walls. All of the wonderful former lords and ladies of the house are here protecting us. I'm sure it will be fine.
No. We must leave soon. There are just devil is about creatures that you cannot imagine.
Don't you worry, sir.
Flaming skeletons.
No. You're a man of reason. You're a man of good breeding. You're a man of great moral character and aristocratic morals.
I'm wearing a shirt for pants.
It doesn't matter. I can tell that by your lanky frame and by your broad shoulders and by your muscular chest and by your sweaty armpits and by your chiseled jaw and by your wondrous brow and by your wonderful jutting nose that you are surely a man of great vigor and moral character and aristocratic morals, and that surely if I am to continue to serve you down in this netherworld, that we will be protected not only from these plant demons, but also from these terrible revolutionary peasants who are in our midst.
I also have a saber.
Yes, that's very helpful.
It's at that point that Elaine downs the greenish tincture.
Oh, no, don't take it right now.
Oh, and there's a rumbling.
Where is the rumbling coming
there's a
from?
Shaking,
The pain, I must evacuate.
No.
That's when the roots begin, just massive ancient tree roots start crushing their way through the walls and ceiling, and stones start to rain down on both of you. Stones are raining down on your head, both of you.
Monsieur Fleur is a gallant butler and is going to throw himself on top of the highly flatulent yet very exposed Elaine. He is going to cover him, protecting him from the stones, simultaneously bat them away with that umbrella.
As Mr. Fleur knocks into him, Elaine wraps him like in this bear hug. So he's like also holding on to him.
The stones, the rain stops, and you just see these creaking, writhing, massive, earthy roots blindly reaching into the room. And the first of them reaches down and tries to snatch with one whip at Elaine.
Elaine, still holding very tightly onto Monsieur Fleur, sort of does this fire roll where he just rolls end over end or side over side, as the case may be, still holding on to Monsieur Fleur. So they're almost like in this embrace as they're squished against each other as they sort of roll away from these seeking vines. As Elaine is now on top, he whips out his saber and sort of hacks off the probing head of the vine.
And a root crashes into a nearby sarcophagus, busting it open, and out spills the bones of one of the old women of the house, and still clutching at the dried roses that were kept at her breast. The fingers begin to crack and shatter. The arms, still with clothing and sinew, are dragged. This body with its partially still has some hair and lace is pulled by these thorny claws closer and closer. And as Elaine, you stand whipping your saber at these roots, Fleur, these flowers begin to dig into your skin and pull you into a hug, a thorny, cutting hug.
Thorny on mane. As these thorny flowers begin embracing me and piercing my flesh, I look into the center of the bouquet and I say, I understand now. Yes, my name, Monsieur Fleur. I was always destined to go back into the land of the flowers and of my dear masters of this house who've always looked over me and kept me safe and kept me in my place.
That talk turns into screams.
Kept me in my
thorns slice through your mouth and tongue.
Fleur, snap out of it, you fool! Ah!
And you look back, and as thorny tendrils just burst, exploding his head, and just it's a blooming, blossoming, blood-covered rose bush bursts forth from Fleur's head.
Monsieur Fleur.
So Elaine is the last survivor, and so now we go to the final scene. So
the last survivor is the constipated general.
Yeah. I think, Ken, why you'll start us off. Why don't you tell your ending?
Oh, that's right. Elaine, he's gone through a lot. He's a secret revolutionary, very manly, reasonable, logical, noble, naked, constipated, but he's a super survivor. He is able to hack and force his way out of the catacombs. I think that he is able to, in the chaos of all of it, actually get out of the estate itself. He would then rally troops to return here to burn the place to the ground.
After Elaine is the last remaining survivor on this entire estate, a silence comes over the catacombs. He waits for a while, shaken, traumatized, covered in blood, and eventually he gets hungry and he has to come out. He leaves the catacombs, comes out, and everything in the entire estate looks completely normal. The house is standing. The labyrinth is back. He goes into the house. There's a woman standing there. It's Madame Coraline.
Ooh.
She says to him, "Now we take the next town." This is how the province is systematically taken over, cleansed of its aristocratic rulers through a alliance between the peasants, the secret revolutionaries among the military, and the Roma people who are in the vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
Gradually, this becomes a revolutionary force that aids the people in restoring justice to the land.
1950.
Yes!
All right.
We're panning in through the windows of an ivy-covered building and a dusty classroom, a professor in tweed with leather shoulders. It's interesting to note how various places outside of the proper Paris were taken and brought into revolution, some with quite a bit of bloodshed. Some of the military were actually part of the revolution. In fact, and this is kind of a funny moment, there was an estate that was found razed, completely ruined, everyone killed. And, the thing is, though, the general who was in charge of the local militia there, who was believed to have been the one to have raided this estate and brought down this aristocratic head, he was found some 15 miles away, naked and covered in shit in a field. When Baudelaire heard of this, later on, he quipped, and this is paraphrasing, but you don't need a guillotine to make someone lose their head, you know. But he was found gibbering about plants and other such nonsense. It was quite a lark. But, it was a terror. It was the reign of terror at the time, so not too much to joke about, I would say. But that's enough glass, and next week we will be in it. And as he drones on and on about the syllabus and the reading for the next week, we pull back out of the building again, and the wind kind of whistles through the trees. And in the courtyard, in a quiet little place, students walking past, we see this statue, this obelisk sitting in the courtyard of this English Ivy League school. With that, our story ends. We will return again with a new tale to spin to dare to entertain. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at LordJoho and on Instagram at board_ghost. You can find my media review podcast and recommendation podcast at newtoshow.com. And you can find my book club podcast at woundandstab.com. Ken, where can people find you?
You guys can find me, all y'alls can find me on Twitter and on Instagram and at my website, Berlingsbeard, Berlings, Beard. I am a for-hire dungeon master in the New York City area. Would love to play games with you. Hire me to run your games.
I'm Lucian Kahn. I'm the guest on this show. You can find me on Twitter at O_Theogony. That's OH_THEOGONY. It's a pun. And you can also find my work on the internet. You can find especially Dead Friend, a game of necromancy. It is a game for a necromancer and a ghost, a tabletop game. There's a pentagram. You use tarot cards to make story prompts in order to evoke the dead. Lots of fun for dates, friends, frenemies, all sorts of relationships. You can find that on drivethrurpg.com.
All right, so to learn more about the players and engine in our story, visit boardghost.com. You can attempt to pierce the veil and contact us at BoardGhostWorld on Twitter. Shout out through the ether if you have desires we can fulfill. You can help support the show collaborating with us on Patreon at patreon.com/boardghost, where you can get access to the episodes in their entirety if we can get them edited up in time for you, but we'll try to get them to you early. You can also get some wallpapers in various mobile and desktop formats. And if you're at one of the higher tiers, you can get access to how to play videos that are exclusive to the Patreon. You can leave reviews and comments on iTunes, your preferred listening portal. So please take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest episodes. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.
Dying don't agree with